So, good afternoon, or maybe good evening for those of you who are far away. My name is Natasha Zawadzka. I'm Cultural Events Coordinator at Alliance Française of Washington, D.C. Welcome to the DC Francophonie Festival 2021, and we are delighted to have here with us today Dr. Noha Baz, who, despite a very late hour in Paris, where she is right now, has joined us. And very shortly, she will be in conversation with our Executive Director, Sarah Diligenti. I would also like to note that this event is organized under the patronage of His Excellency, the Ambassador of Lebanon, Mr. Gabriel Issa. Thank you, Ambassador, for joining us. It's an honor. So this is all from me. I hope you will all enjoy your afternoon, evening. And I now hand it over to you, Mr. Wael Hashem, Deputy Chief of Mission, Embassy of Lebanon in DC.
Thank you, Natasha. Excellencies and esteemed guests, good evening. I'd like to begin by recognizing the participation of the Ambassador of Lebanon, His Excellency Gabriel Issa, who is always eager to support such cultural initiatives. I'd also like to thank the organizers of the DC Francophonie Festival 2021, and I especially would like to thank Mrs. Sarah Diligenti for proposing and facilitating today's event. I also thank her colleagues at Alliance Française and Smithsonian Associates for coordinating these cultural events on a yearly basis. Today, I am honored to present Dr. Noha Baz, the author of Il n'y a pas de honte à préférer le bonheur. There is no shame in preferring happiness. An autobiography in which Dr. Baz writes about different moments of her life in various contexts, times, and settings. The themes of hope and positivism that underpin each chapter are the main reasons why we choose to highlight this book today. Noha's personal story is one of many stories of Lebanese immigrants who left Lebanon for various reasons, but who also kept the country deeply enshrined in their hearts and minds. Yeah. Many, like Noha, returned to live in their homeland, and when it became safe and appropriate for them and their families, and contributed to the rebuilding of their country because they never lost faith in it. They also adapted to changes brought on by time and circumstance and played a pioneering role in maintaining and magnifying the various links between Lebanon and the countries that hosted them. Noha explains her conception of many daily life aspects and shares her philosophy with the reader. She discusses various subjects: medicine, family, love, friendship, happiness, childhood, etc. She also shares moments of her own family life, her passion for food and the art of cooking, and her love of sports and art. I will not be able to cover all the subjects discussed in the book, but I will shed light on some that caught my attention. The book has a chapter about Beirut, and it also invokes the city in many different chapters. Our beloved capital, which is still suffering from the wounds of the devastating port explosion last August. Noha reminds us, and I'm quoting, that Beirut is a city in movement, and that it was destroyed 1,000 times and recomposed 1,000 times.
Rebuilt.
Rebuilt, yeah. Throughout Noha's book, we live her experience in Lebanon before the war, her adventures and accomplishments as an expatriate in France and as a visitor in other cities, her feelings and thoughts while being far away from the homeland, and her compelling experiences and contributions when she returned to live in Lebanon after the war. As a citizen and immigrant, Noha personifies the strong will of the Lebanese people and their power to overcome wars, disasters, and political unrest. Noha also confirms that whatever the suffering and cause of separation may be, the Lebanese people will still reunite to rebuild the country and promote the unifying cultural aspects they have in common through solidarity, economy, and humanitarian action.
Absolutely.
So drawing on her experiences as a pediatrician, Noha also describes the motives that pushed her to start her NGO, Les Petits Soleils, the small suns, to help children who are most in need. It should also be noted that all proceeds from her books go for the good of those children. Noha's passion for cooking is always present in this book and other ones. He also recently published a gastronomical book, La Grenade, 10 façons de la préparer, and Le Za'atar, 10 façons de le préparer. He is also the founder of the literary prize Syria, an award for French language gastronomy or cooking books, highlighting a history of regional, family, or cultural traditions. I will limit myself to focusing on these major aspects and leave more details to our honorable guests and the moderator, and I hope that all participants will enjoy taking part in the discussion. I will conclude by saying that life always brings better days, and by hoping that we can all contribute by unifying our efforts to make Lebanon better in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wahel, for this introduction. And again, Monsieur l'Ambassadeur, merci beaucoup de soutenir l'Alliance française chaque fois que nous organisons un événement sur le Liban. To everyone, the event will be in English. You will be able to ask your question in the chat in French or English, and I will start in a minute. But I want you to note that in the background, behind me, you will notice two books that are written by Noha. I will show them better later on. One is La Recette d'où je viens, and the other one is La Nuit de la Pistache. And of course, I have also Noha's autobiography, alphabetical autobiography, which is here, which is Il n'y a pas de honte à préférer le bonheur, and which I highly recommend everyone to read. Absolutely, and I will go back. But it's a pleasure to have Noha. The last time we saw each other in the flesh, of course, was before COVID. It was in 2018 at the Salon du Livre in Paris, France, where Noha was coming to actually sign for La Nuit de la Pistache. And before that, it was at another book fair, a very important one in my own opinion. It was the Beirut Book Fair in 2016, where she was signing La Recette d'où je viens. And she took me under her wing, made me visit Beirut, made me fall in love with Beirut, which I have. I have fallen deeply in love with Beirut. Took me to the fabulous Elisa boutique, really took me to a restaurant where there was a splendid mezze and dessert to die for. And I even danced, because she remembered that earlier on. And she also organized a fabulous banquet for the Syria Literary Prize that Wahel mentioned. And for me, it was like living in a fairy tale, thanks to Noha, who was the fairy. And really to have like a great hospitality, which I have never seen before. So I am so happy today that we are able to get into a conversation with, like, Maya Angelou, the famous DC poet, who called Noha a phenomenal woman. And that will be my first question, because Noha, you are a doctor, an author, a nutritionist, a foodie, a philanthropist, but also a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and a friend. So my first question will be, how do you manage it all?
Hi, Sarah. Hello, Wahel. Thank you for your introduction. It's a big honor to be your invitee tonight. Thank you for Mr. Gabriel Issa, the ambassador. It's a big honor to speak about Lebanon, which I hold in my heart wherever I go in the world. Lebanon gives us all a lot of things. And for me, sharing them, it's not only an honor, but a duty. Rebuilding a country is not about politics. It's about every citizen in it. You know, you had the great Kennedy, which told they don't ask your country what it can do for you, but what you can do for your country. This is my philosophy. This is part of it. To go back to your question, I think I was born like that. Maybe my Swiss part makes me very regular, you know, and having this schedule in my everyday. Being a doctor and being the eldest one of the family, of course, gave me a lot of responsibilities since the first day I was born.
That is a very good segue, because my second question is about the fact that you are l'aîné, the eldest of your family. And I liked the fact, because I am an aîné as well myself. Yes. So I like the fact that, join the club, that in your book, in your the first chapter, l'aîné is of your alphabet is a synonym a few pages later with the word example. And so did the status of being l'aîné and the duty of example, did both of that, being born the first one, the eldest, and having to show the example of all the time, did it make it who you are today?
Well, I had no choice because, you know, when I was born, my parents was waiting for their first baby since 8 years. So like I'm telling you in the book, they had read maybe thousands of books of how to raise the perfect kid, how to be the perfect parents, and they wanted to apply everything. So, you know, I believe in a family, each child doesn't have the same parents. I mean, I have been through motherhood, and I know that with my eldest daughter, I was, you know, I have a lot of worries, and as all new moms. And with the second one, Delphine, my eldest daughter, Stephanie, we were, you know, shaky with my husband, and we wanted to do our best in every field and in everything. The more you get kids and the less you get perfectionist, I guess. And you are not the same person. So my parents were very perfectionist with me. And for my father especially, nothing was good enough. I always had to be, you know, he wanted to lift me very, very high. When I got my degree, my baccalaureate, I was one of the, well, I'm not going to say it, I don't like to speak about it, but I was the first one in Lebanon, and for him it was nothing, you see. So I made my first year in medical school and my baccalaureate because of the war the same year. It was a lot of, it was a huge working time, and it was not good enough. So after I learned with a very, very quiet mother, being Swiss and being very quiet and very, so there was a balance between the two. But being the eldest one is a family is always, they put a lot of things on your shoulders, you know.
I cannot agree more about that, because it was always like montre l'exemple was like, yes, was the leitmotiv I heard all through my childhood and even later on into my teen and early years as a young woman. So, yes. So would you say, Noha, that you were amongst the lucky ones as a girl growing in the Middle East in the 60s and 70s? Was it difficult growing up and becoming a professional, a doctor in the eyes of men in Lebanon? And do you find yourself different than other girls or women of your generation in Lebanon or in France?
Different, certainly not. Maybe I was raised in not in the traditional Oriental way, because I was lucky because my father pushed me a lot, and for him there were no difference. There was no difference between boys and girls. For him, a girl had to live her dreams, and if if she wanted to be a doctor or an engineer, whatever, she had to go to university. And I remember he battled with he was fighting with his friends, telling him, wow, she's going to medical school. It's a long way. She's going to be married. Don't worry. Ugly girls go to university generally and go to medicine. She doesn't need that. And you know, a lot of friends of my parents those days were telling me, why are you going into such way? You have to keep this money for going for your honeymoon or something like stupidities like that. I heard a lot. Okay. Well, I was born, I had the privilege to be born in a traditional, but maybe wealthy. I'm not going to say wealthy, but I mean privilege, because I was able to pick up and choose the studies I wanted. When I decided to become a doctor, I remember the dreams of my father were to, you know, to push me a little bit to be like him, engineer, and for making, I should say, you know, like technical and studies with maybe in a commercial way. And then I said, no. I want to help as many people as I can. And in which field you can help a lot of people in medical field, I guess. You know, in my point of view, I wanted to be a healer. Being a healer, so I choose to be a doctor. This is my first, it was my first will. And that's it. But
I have a question about that I will ask you now, but maybe because I thought about putting it for later, but I think it's something very important about being a doctor, because in your book you write that to soigner in French means, you know, to be a healer, to care for others. So as a doctor does, one needs first to soigner, which S-O-I and then nier, N-I-E-R, which would be, for those of you who don't speak French, means to renounce oneself, to serve oneself last, to deny oneself so that we can be in the service of others. And I absolutely loved that pun that Noha made in the book, because I found it extremely meaningful. And also, one thing that was really a good surprise was that in the book, Noha took the decision to reprint in its entirety the Hippocratic Oath. And I think that for us, it's important to see that black and white. And so I have a couple of questions there. Is what exactly made you decide to become a doctor? And also, do you think that doctors nowadays in countries anywhere in the world are living up to the oath, especially in countries like, take the example of the United States. The healthcare system is a joke. So, so what do you think?
Well, I think that you have very good persons. Before becoming a doctor, you have a human being, and it depends of how he is. For me, you have a very good quality doctor everywhere in the world. Of course, even in my promotion, you had, I remember my first year in medical school, there was a Nahar newspaper, you know, the newspaper, the famous newspaper in Lebanon, who came to make an interview. And we were like in a promotion of 85 fellows. We were only 8 girls. So they picked me up and they asked me, why did you choose to be a doctor? And then I said, I want to help, you know, I want to give a hand to a lot of people in need. This is my dream since I'm a little girl, and that's it. And I had colleagues who replied, to be famous, to have money. I still hear the sentences. It's up to them. And a lot of them are unfortunately in this way of thinking, even now, in the way where Lebanon is. Well, I'm sorry for them, because for me, even if you choose any job, finally, if it has to give you some peace and some joy, you know. So if you pick up a job who suits you, you don't even feel that you are working. And for me, it's one of the questionnaire de Proust, you know, the question of Proust. Being happy is, I sincerely, I was happy. I'm happy when I hear Yo-Yo Ma playing, for example, his violin. Well, a lot of things make me happy, simple things generally. But for me, the highest point of happiness is helping someone. Believe me, when I see a smile on a child face, when I see a mother being grateful because her kid is going to be okay, for me, it's the summum of joy. It's Beethoven Ninth Symphony. That's it.
Oh, that's wonderful. I like what you just said.
It's really like that. It's really what I feel. And I was born like that. I mean, you know, you can be happy. When I was a kid, of course, chocolates and sweets. And I had to learn piano because it was like that. I hated it first, but after, now I just love music, of course, and I'm very thankful to this traditional education I got. You know, playing piano, going to ballet class and dance classes. It was like that. We were raised in an ideal, and especially being the eldest one, all of my parents' dreams, I had to, you know, remplir toutes les cases. I had to be okay with, you know, with music. My father loved opera. Thanks God, I love opera. It was totally depressing for my mother. So I had this moment with him listening to opera, the two of us, in the middle of the night, coming back from, you know, we used to go to opera and theater together. My mother didn't like it, so voila. I find joy in a lot of things, cooking, playing with kids, but believe me, giving. And even if you have to, you know, to hear people suffering, it's not always easy to hear them complain and to explain that, you know, we have to wait to have a result. When you see the smile on the face of the child, for me, it's really a joy.
And so, with all this joy that you are able to keep and find, you actually have lived through many wars. You have lived through the 6-Day War, the Civil War in Lebanon, and also it feels like you also lived and still are living a war against a form of societal blindness. I mean, you have taken up the plight of the impoverished families in Lebanon, those whose children have no access or no easy access to medicine. So what these events, all these wars that you've gone through, that you're fighting, that you continue to fight, how did they bring what did they bring to your understanding of life, and did it affect your relationship with your family and your friends?
You know, war, the 6-Day Wars, I was a kid. I just remember sounds and terrible, you know, army singing and songs on the TV and things like that. I didn't really live the war. But the School of War, when I was doing my medical studies, was terrible. Was a life lesson, certainly, but it gives me a lot, because you know, you look at life differently after that. First of all, you know that all human beings are equal. In front of disease, you don't have rich and poor. You just have human beings suffering. And look at the COVID crisis nowadays. It picks up politics, it picks up actors, art people, and it's hitting everyone. And during the war, the fact of being a girl, for example, in emergency room, I learned a lot. It was like, you know, a big smash life lessons. And especially when the president Bashir Gemayel was murdered, I was the one in the emergency room. I will never forget this night. It was a nightmare. I think I lived maybe 10 lives during one night, because the things I saw, I was not prepared to all this violence and all this, what a war can bring. And after that, during 2 days, I couldn't speak even. You know, I was working and working. We didn't have time to rest. We didn't have time to sleep. And 2 days after this nightmare ended, I was not able to sleep. And after that, this dream I was holding with me since the first day I began my medical school became more and more important for me to realize. I said, if I have one day the power of changing the path of a kid with giving him a better tomorrow, I have to do it, even if the price is high. I'm coming from a society very protégé, you know, voila. And as I'm telling it in the book, a lot of my friends were telling me, what's the purpose with you? Just enjoy life, go out. You are working very hard with your consultation every day. Find time for yourself and go, you know, to the nightclubs and things like that. I adore people and social life. For me, it's okay. I mean, but if you can through that, give a hand to someone and lift him up, I think the best thing to do is to hold on each other for rebuilding a country, for just being a human being, you know, being a good human being. For me, it's very important. Even with a smile, you can change someone's day. You can give flowers just with words. I receive every day words telling me how people, you know, from friends or even from person I don't know, from people I never met, who sends me through Facebook or Instagram small messages telling me how deeply they were touched by reading the book. How much they loved Beirut and they loved being in Lebanon and making this tour with me, this travels, this journey with me. And, you know, you just light up the day of someone with giving him a good word. Of course, it's not a duty. I mean, we all have our bad days, right? Someone you are not in a mood. You know, you're just not in a mood. Some days I woke up with a headache, or, you know, I'm a little bit tired, but then this is my way of being in life. I always forget eagers and fight, because for me it's a lose of time. I try to be very, very, very far from negative people, from toxic people, because unfortunately you have them. They always have a negative solution to every positive word you are telling them. So life teach me to avoid this kind of people. Second thing is, when I'm not really in a good mood, I never put medias. I never look at TV and news telling you all the bad things happened during when you were sleeping. You know, you have time for that. I begin my day with music, and then I make my own coffee. And for me, cardamom coffee, Lebanese coffee, is a journey. Wherever I am in the world, I make it. Or my dear husband, which is very talented for coffee, for a lot of things, and a dear person, really. Very friendly. He's very friendly. He's very encouraging. Makes me a coffee. He just guess how I can be sometime upset by a kid which case didn't turn well. You know, it happens also.
Mhm.
When you treat children, it's very sad someone to lose one of them. And just putting music, I know how to apprivoiser, you know, le bonheur. I know now how to catch it. So I know what I have to do. It's not by consuming, you know, the teenagers nowadays thinks that buying new things and getting new things, it's the way of being happy. No, for me, it's not at all. For me, it's just getting 2 hours to walk in the nature, to do sports, to meditate. I learned how to meditate with music, and I love this moment I spent with me and myself. And music, Charbel Rouhana, Yo-Yo Ma, or whoever, Ibrahim Malouf, you know, I love music, so voila. And it's very resourcing for me.
Mhm.
Voila. Now, I used to go to spa. I love massages. I'm very sensual. So I used to love to have a massage or something relaxing. With the COVID crisis, I had to find something else because you're not allowed anymore to go to spa. So I find meditation and I love it, and I
Mhm.
recommend it. Voila.
Well, I love what you said about everything that you said, and especially when you started to reply to me and you mentioned, you know, the assassination of Bashir Gemayel. I remember I was in France at the time, and my brother-in-law, Paul Kaham, who just died in Beirut of COVID, actually, you know, taught me a lot about Lebanon before I even went to Lebanon, and he was devastated at the time when that happened. I remember that. And so thank you for sharing that. And thank you for giving us all this recipe, and especially talking about what you do and how you survived and how you went through that. So you mentioned children as well, and you said as a pediatrician, it is so hard, you know, to lose a child. So what made you decide to start Le Petit Soleil, your foundation? Can you tell us more about that very important philanthropic part of your life, and how can people, maybe some of us out of the 50 people here today, how can people help you if they want to help you?
Well, the first time, I had a dream, like I told you, since I was a kid, to help as many people as I can. So, to be a healer, and I choose medicine. Okay, and when I was doing my internship during the war, I'm telling this in the book. There was an old man coming from the south of the country with a little Karim, who was by this time 7 years old, and he was suffering from a meningitis. His grandfather bring him there, and you know, the medicine in Lebanon was exactly like in the States. If you don't have money, you cannot be admitted in a hospital. We were in the middle of the war, and you could find I remember a shell bombing. I remember it was really hard times in Lebanon, and he came then to us, to the hospital where I was doing my internship, and I knew very well that he had to be immediately admitted. And the guy of the admission told him, "We're sorry, sir, but we don't have place." And I said, "What? The hospital is empty." And the guy of the admission was, you know, blinking at me, telling, "No, you don't have." And then he took me and he said, The guy has no money. He has no insurance. I'm sorry, but we cannot admit it. I said, what? You cannot admit it? This is a hospital speaking in the name of God and Christians, and you know, you are not admitting a child who is going to absolutely die if he lives. Well, by this time, my parents were living in Paris, and I was a student. I didn't have enough money to make him admitted, and he left. And I was swabbing, and I was sure that he was going to die on the road, and that's what happened.
Mhm.
And when I knew that, I swear to myself that later on, I'm not, yeah, I mean, I was not doing my pediatrics for wealthy children. Any child coming from anywhere for me is a kid of the word. So I swear that I was going to do whatever I can to, you know, a dreamer maybe, but I wanted to happen. And when there is a will, there is a way. So when we came back from Paris, like I don't know, since then, well, after the story and after all the damage of the war, I came to Paris. I was engaged, and with Patrick, my husband, we got married, and we spent 15 years in Paris. And then hope came back again to Lebanon, because Lebanon is a non-ending story and hope and war. You know, we are living like that. When you got the writ, you can dance under the rain. You see, for me, it's exactly that. I mean, we know that the country is very unstable. How do you say?
Unstable.
Unstable. We know how is it. So we went through very hard time and very difficult time, thousands of times, and Lebanon was rebuilt again, and it came back again. So that's why I'm a believer in the what I told you. When there is a will, there is a road. Okay, so we came back to Beirut, and I was volunteering in a infirmary for free every Tuesday morning, and I was seeing children coming with no diapers, you know, just sac de nylon, how do you say?
The nylon bag.
Nylon bag instead of diapers. Sometimes they don't have, they were nourished with water and sugar. I saw it was in 1997, very poor people already in Lebanon. Okay, now it becomes more and more, you can see that more and more, but by this time it was existing already. And I began to help little by little, case by case. And one day there is Gladys, maybe she's watching tonight, because Gladys, by this time she was 11 years old. She was brought to the dispensary by her father, who was a taxi driver, and she was suffering of pneumonia. She was white like wool, and she was really very weak. I sent her to the hospital, and the story get back again. They didn't let her go inside the hospital. The father had $20 in his pocket, that's it. So I rushed to the hospital. I went to the director desk, and I make a check, and I tell him, I don't want to hear that. Here is the amount. Please let her in. 4 hours later, she was in the IU, you know, in soins intensifs, in the intensive care ICU, and she had very severe pneumonia, staphylococcal pneumonia. She spent 3 weeks there, and then 3 weeks in the pediatric section of the hospital, and she was okay. And now Gladys is 30 years old. She's the mother of 2. She got a very nice degree, and I really have each time I see her, it's like a present, you know. She has a lovely smile, and her kids are beautiful, and voila, this is une belle histoire, a lovely story. You know, life have also, and this is a message to the media and the TV all around the world, and the broadcast. You know, there is lovely stories in the human history. You don't have only to put on dark stories every morning and every day. You can also, from time to time, you know, glisser, you know, to put a nice story between all the bad news you are getting the word every day. Voila.
Well,
One of the story, I have tons of lovely story to tell, and a lot of people now are pushing me to write these stories, but I have to find time.
You have to find time, yes, because you're such a busy woman. But if somebody who's listening today, if they want to help you, if they want to help Les Petits Soleils, what should they do? What should they do? Where can they, do they send an email to you?
Depending how they want to help. Some of them can, if they want to send, for example, where with the COVID crisis, we are not taking clothes anymore. We are some toys. We are having some toys. We have a lot of people giving toys. If they want to contribute to a case, we have 2 accounts. We have an account actually in Lebanon, one in Europe now with a crisis in Lebanon, because we cannot buy all the medicine we are buying if we don't have that. They can help us with a donation. They will have a receipt, of course, and the case and all the papers regarding the kids they have choose to help. They can help us with this, and the account, we have one in Lebanon in Bankaudi, and they can message me on we have our Facebook and our Instagram page. They can send me messages. They can also order my books directly. If they order and pay me directly, we have all the how do you say, the droit d'auteur,
copyrights, the proceeds.
Voilà, the copyright going directly to the Petit Soleil. It's my part of author, my part d'auteur. And when I have no books left, they can order the books, and my editors in France will do their duty.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. On the Noah's biography here, there's a little red sticker which says that all of the royalties that Noah should receive as an author are actually sent to the Petit Soleil Association. So that's what we can.
Alizio is one branch of Albin Michel, and they were the one who contacted me to write this biography. Well, I was not, I didn't ever think of speaking of my, you know, my, how do you say, my past or my, mon parcours, but they said that it could be inspiring for a lot of people, and they pushed me to write it. And the editor had read an article in the Figaro in France made by a journalist who contacted me through I think Facebook, Sophie, and well, she was very impressed by those kids, and she came to Lebanon and visit some families of the kids, and write back later on them, and voila, this is a happy side, a sunny side of the world, I will say.
But you have more than one corde à ton arc, as we say in French, because I'm going to take those books there so people can see them. You have this, you're also a foodie, and you love gastronomy. So this one is La Recette d'où je viens. And then this one here, which is also a little bit of an autobiography, but differently, which is called La Nuit de la
La
Pistache.
Nuit de la Pistache. Well, all the books, La recette d'où je viens got le prix des écrivains gastronomes. La Nuit de la Pistache got 2 World Gourmand Awards, the Edouard Cointreau Prize. And La Nuit de la Pistache is now in Stockholm in Alfred Nobel Museum. Because it has been picked up between the 50 best books of the 25th latest years.
Wow.
So it was, incredible. And when we went to Macau, to Hong Kong to receive the prize, I didn't know that I was nominated. My book was nominated, but I didn't know that it was important. I was getting the prize. So Edouard Cointreau called me personally and he said, Noha, you have to come. And I said, it's 14 hours flight to go from Beirut there. And I said, no, you have to come. And it was such an adventure. It was, of course, before the COVID. And it was like a family. And when I saw Lebanon and my book, and I got the prize, I had no words. I had to make a speech. And Patrick, my husband, was so emotional that he filmed. He made a movie à l'envers.
Upside down.
Yes. He made the movie upside down with his phone, and but I found the word. Finally, I guess that if you are in a place and if you pick up a job, or I guess it's for a reason. It's like persons you meet in life, like you, Sarah. I've met one day, and life make present sometimes with people you met. It's for a purpose. It's for helping others. And Edouard Cointreau is someone, he is a healer through the way he's also picking his book. And I met wonderful people coming from all over the world, hugging me, hugging Lebanon through me, and telling me, wow, what a story. The day after that, the banquet we had after the prizes, people were coming to the Lebanon stand, giving me their books, giving me, small presents. And we came back to Lebanon with 4 suitcases full of books and little presents. And that's why I love gastronomy. It's about sharing. It's a culture by itself.
It's definitely is a culture by itself. But so you managed to combine some of your passions, writing, reading, and gastronomy together in creating the Ziryab Literary Prize. Now that is fantastic. So how did you get the idea for that prize? Can you tell us more about it, and who are the authors, for instance, who were awarded the Ziryab Literary Prize?
I got the idea of the Ziryab during the Beirut Book Fair in 2013. I was invited to make a lecture and a speech with Farouk Mardam Bey, who's for me the best food writer in the Arabic world. And Farouk, I have a very big admiration for who he is. So we were speaking together about gastronomy, and after that, there was also André Malouf, the spouse of Amin Malouf, and after that we got a dinner, and it was about the 3rd or the 4th of November, and it was the time of Goncourt, le Prix Goncourt in Paris. So we were speaking around the Mésée, along, next to the sea, and in November in Beirut, it's still springtime. So I said, but why there is no prize for a food book? gastronomic book. In a way, I like it. I mean, with a story, with a culture, with not only recipes.
Mhm.
You know, recipes you can get them everywhere, but a story. I am a storyteller, by the way. This is why I'm an observer and a storyteller. That's why I went to writing. After making my degree in gastronomy in Reims in 2009, the jury, you know, we had to make a presentation, and I was the only Lebanese. We were 25th persons, and we went through question, QCM, an exam when we had to reply to weird questions like how many bubbles you have in a glass of champagne. Guess, Sarah, if you want.
Well, this is a question that I would not be able to answer. I don't think I don't think.
Bubble.
How many?
1 million.
1 million.
Anyway,
Okay.
we had very weird, but it was very interesting because after 12 years in medical school, I was still learning with this degree, and I had to present a thesis and pick up, a theme. So I choose how to convey your taste to your kids. Okay, and the jury liked very much. This is the story, and they give me a prize, and they said you absolutely have to print this and to transmit it later on. And they pushed me to writing. So I began with making interviews around gastronomy through the diplomats in Lebanon. I wrote about Mexican food with Claudia and Jorge Alvarez. I wrote, they were ambassador of Mexico in Lebanon. I wrote about all the countries through the gastronomy. And in this way, gastronomy is a language. It's like music. So it can give you a lot about the history of a country and about the civilization. And the book of Farouk Mardambey called La cuisine de Ziryab, the cooking of Ziryab, is for me a journey, a real journey through the civilization of the Arab world. I read this book maybe 10 times, and each time I discover new things. So my passion for food and for books was mixed together through that, and I decided to name the prize after the book of Farouk, so it becomes the Prix Ziryab.
That's a wonderful story. I love how you say you're a storyteller, because every time, you're telling us a new story. This is absolutely wonderful. But one of the things also that because you're an author and you read, and I have to say that too, because I'm not sure if everyone knows that, but when I say that Noha reads, Noha is an avid reader, but Noha has read Proust, La Recherche, 7 volumes, by the age of 12. Okay, yeah. So she is a great reader, because I am currently rereading Proust, and I'm no more 12, obviously, and all the time I turn a page, I think of Noha reading that, when she was 12, which I didn't. I did read the volume 1 a few years later, but not at 12.
Proust is not difficult.
No.
It's just he has sentences of 2 kilometers, very long sentences, but it's not difficult to read. And Proust is a word by itself,
Absolutely.
By itself, it's a word. And being with Swann and Madame Verdurin, and I love the story. That's it. And I read Diderot. I was 14, and Diderot is not easy. Yeah. I love Voltaire because he was such a revolutionnaire, Voltaire, if you read Voltaire now, Traité de la tolérance de Voltaire, it's like it was written a year ago.
Absolutely.
You recognize everything in the society, and you said, wow, the history is repeating itself, you know, l'histoire se répète. And voilà, doesn't mean that I don't like Tintin and Lucky Luke. No, it's I love different kind of books, and books are a country. When your country goes through war, you can find a country through books, because it's something strong, and it's something you can give as. For me, books were walls of protections during war, especially during war. I remember bombing nights. We were in the shelter, and I was reading or playing guitar. Beatles were also a good answer to the war. Voilà.
Well, if anybody has questions, please enter them in the chat. I have a couple more questions that I will ask Noah, and then please don't forget to enter your question in the chat. I know it's midnight in France. I don't know how tired Noah is. I don't want to keep her too awake.
I'm okay.
Yeah, and there is a comment. Oh, there is one first question. So let me ask you that question from the public. I will read it out loud. There definitely are beautiful stories, but the war shattered the lives of many loved ones who are unable to lead fulfilling lives. There is incredible pain, and we'll all have to live with the knowledge we are the lucky ones. We emerged, and the knowledge of the extreme pain many others will suffer for the rest of their lives. How can you reconcile happiness when one is surrounded by loved ones who suffer every day because of the permanent scar in their souls? Very good question from Rosette.
I mean, we all know how life is going to end, how it begins and how it ends. There is no life. I don't know any person who didn't have in her own personal story dramatic times. I personally lost a beloved sister, and it was terrible. I was devastated, like all the family. But I find, you know, la force. I find the strength to go, because I was thinking of her each time I was treating and saving the life of a kid. And I guess time is the best healer for such difficult times, you know. And then I guess every one of us can go deeply inside of himself and listen to himself from time to time. It doesn't mean that you have to feel guilty each time you eat a chocolate or buy yourself something pretty, or, you know, give a present to someone. No, guiltiness is useless. Okay. We all have raised with, especially in Judeo-Chrétien, in the Christian surrounding, that privileged children, when you are gifted, you have to give. This is my philosophy in life. You receive a lot, you give a lot. Don't imagine that privileged people doesn't have some of them, maybe they are selfish, I don't know, but it's not my way of seeing life. But I believe that when you share, you know, you can give also happiness. A simple smile is a gift. A kind word is a gift. Okay, it's not only about money. Okay, there are a lot of things that money cannot buy, like character, like politesse, like elegancy. You know, elegance is not about money. Elegance is to avoid vulgarity. It's, for me, this is the definition. Okay, and luxury is, okay, wellness maybe, and being you know, happy for a time with something you buy and you like. And I never feel guilty because I buy something I find pretty, for example. I tell to myself, you have to make also the economic world rules. So that's it. When I buy a lovely scarf, I know that a lot of people are living also with that. You have to deal with yourself and with what life gave you, and to find the best equilibrium,
the best
between all
balance,
that.
the balance.
Yeah,
right.
but voilà, the best way to manage with all that.
Mm.
But I repeat that in every one of us, we can find a way for finding joy. Lifting someone up is, when I lost my sister, I had to take care of my parents, who were devastated. I was devastated too, but I had also two daughters who were 15 and 10 years old, and they were swabbing, and I just realized that my attitude was going to be determinante, enfin, very important for them. So I cried, but I cried by myself, and it was very hard, but then I go into work, and I, like I told you, I find a way to go through that. And I guess that every human being, even if he seeks helps for a moment, he can go through a lot of things. Human beings are very solid. And sometimes, I learned this from babies. When you see a baby, you think that, oh my God, it's very tiny, so delicate. And babies are very strong. You cannot believe when I see that, but I swear, they are really strong. And maybe because of that, I have this philosophy. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about babies and parents, we have a question here. As a successful, inspiring woman, what advice can you give to parents bringing up little girls into the world in this day and age?
Such a good question.
Yeah, girls are powerful as much as a boy. For me, as a pediatrician, I never think about boys and girls. Having a healthy child is a blessing. Okay, so boys or girls, no, that you have to learn to your daughters that they are equal to any boys and any men, and not to be only defending themselves. They can be feminine and impose themselves by learning, by going to school, by having a good job, by doing well. They are very capable. I had two daughters. I'm very proud of them. One goes, it's make me smile because I have a lot of people asking me, oh, no one of them go to medicine school, because my husband, as I told, is also a doctor. He's ophthalmologist. And I said, no, it's not genetics. Being a doctor, it's not about genetics. The eldest one go into politics and Sciences Po and communication. And the youngest one made the London School of Economics, and she worked in, fashion and luxury, and they are very happy the way they are. I mean, you have to learn to your daughters that they have to find their happiness, going to picking the right man who respects them. This is the most important thing. Not the wealthiest one, not the smartest one. No, someone with whom they have happiness and respect and comment on dit, complicity.
Complicity. Voilà. They are complicity. There's a refinement. Yeah. So I have a question about the. So with all that you do, how do you write, and when do you write, and how much time do you dedicate to writing in your life?
I write. I am a big traveler. Okay, so I write everywhere, in planes, in trains. I don't drive in Lebanon. I write on my iPhone, simply like that. All my editors became crazy because when I deliver the text, it's always, you know, like when you write notes on an iPhone. When I see, so I'm a big, as I told you, I'm storyteller, yes, and I am big observer, like Proust. Proust, give me this. I really looked and observed, and I make small sketch in a plane. Sometimes when you look around you and you see how people manage with, you know, traveling during COVID day is a school, because it's incredible. You have the fashionable lady who has her Chanel mask matching with her red boots Chanel, you know. So it makes me smile, and I describe those the petites scénettes, you know, small chapters, and I write really everywhere. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I have an idea, so I stand up and write it immediately. And sometimes walking in the streets of Paris, especially Paris, maybe because a lot of authors and poets live there, I don't know. It makes me, Paris is an inspiration every day for a lot of things. And even in Lebanon, when I walk in the mountains for hours listening to music, I like to walk. You know, I when we in Lebanon in the mountains, it's so lovely. When I woke up like 6 in the morning and I walk, there is no one on the roads, and I imagine things, and that's it. Voila. Nothing else.
Thank you. We have one more question, and we have here with us Dr. Lubna Hassanieh, who presented her novel "Where Will My Heart Beat" with Alliance Française last year, and she has a question for you.
Her. Yes.
First of all, she says, "Thank you, Dr. Baz. You are the embodiment of truly hardworking, phenomenal women. What is one thing you wish more people know about accomplished women?"
Maybe in the working place. That's what I wanted to say.
In the working place, well, they, I recommend them, do not forget your femininity. You are feminine, especially Oriental. We Oriental have been raised for duties, okay? Raising kids, cooking, no. If you have an idea, tell it frankly, calmly, with a lot of femininity. Do it your way, feminine way. You don't have to always fight with men to get your place. No, you can impose yourself very quietly with your ideas and your facts. Don't only speak, work. And when you work and when you make the world see what you are doing through your acts, I guess respect will come, and you impose yourself calmly, you know? This is my philosophy.
I agree with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lubna, for attending another Alliance Française event all the way from California. We love having you at our events. I have a last question before wrapping up. And I want, because it's Mois de la Francophonie after all, I want to talk a little bit about the importance of language for Noha, because Noha is probably the most Francophone person in this audience, because she, she obviously she speaks French and Arabic and English, but she has also, in her, she has France, Lebanon, Switzerland, so it's a little bit big representation of the Francophonie world. So do you think that having grown up bicultural, bilingual, and then learning English as well, do languages impact you in your writing or in your way of thinking? And between French and Arabic, what does your heart say?
There is a word telling that la langue maternelle. We always say la langue maternelle. My mother language was French, but for me there is la langue paternelle, because my father's language was Arabic first. He picked up for us, my siblings and my brothers, sisters, and I, Arabic names. And the family of my mother in Switzerland was, asking why they pick up this kind of, they could. My brother's name is Abdullah. Abdullah is very difficult for them, so everyone is calling him Billy, because my mother's side picked him a name they can manage. But for me, languages are the keys to go to express, to be first they are a key to be close to other civilization and other people, and then to express yourself in different languages. I speak Spanish. I love Spanish, la langue de Cervantes. I speak Italian, because in Switzerland you have to pick up several languages. So I tried to learn during the last 10 years a new language every year. I gave up last year Japanese because it was terribly complicated, and I love the Japanese food. I love Japanese tea, but the language was difficult, and I definitely gave up when I saw Carlos Rosson in Tokyo, and I said, "Oh my God, no!" And there was also a book written by Amélie Nothomb, one of my favorite writers in French, called Stupeur et Tremblement, and she was describing the way of working, the work, how people work in Japan, and frankly, it frightened me. So I stopped Japanese. I shift to Portuguese, and I met in Perpignan last October a very nice writer, Greek writer, who pushed me to learn Greek, because he said the beginning of all civilization is Greece. So I said, okay, I will think about it. So, voila, languages are keys to be close to others. This is the way. And certainly I am French educated. I mean, my first language is French. I was raised in French, but I just loved Arabic when I began it, because I had really wonderful teachers. And the importance of teachers in the life of a kid are major. And nowadays, when I see in Lebanon our kids following their courses virtually, I said this link with a teacher. I mean, there's a teacher I was in fourth grade at school who first time make me feel that I could be a writer. She didn't tell it this way. She just read it was we had a subject to treat, and I was 12 years old, and I become as red as this couch I'm I'm sitting on, because she read my rédaction, my
paper,
my paper, my small paper, in front of all the classroom. I was the youngest one in the class, because this is another another subject, because I was 12 when the others were 14 and 16, and she made me feel that by this time that I had to follow literature studies. And in school, they called my parents to say, they were the the mathematics teachers in a way, and the literature in the other one, and they were fighting, saying no, she has to go into literature. And so my father said she will go when she wants. She is the one who is going to choose the way she wants to take. And I went to scientific for course, because for getting in medical school, you have to be very good in mathematics and into physics and chemistry. After all, food is about chemistry. You know that? Food
Absolutely.
is important. Yeah, it's chemistry, food. It's
Absolutely.
incredible. when you mix kebab Lebanese, for example, because we are in Lebanon, if you put an egg yolk in the yogurt, the sauce is extraordinary, and it's all about chemistry. It's exactly like making a mayonnaise. This is what I like in food, because it's voila, small equation that you do, and cooking makes me happy. And for the Petit Soleil, for the association, I used to make a very gala dinner and things. People were coming and paying a lot of money for getting a place, you know what? And then I find that books stay forever when a dinner stay for 2 hours. Okay, it's different things. We can mix with both things, but as with the COVID, we are limited now and we cannot do such things. I went through books, and all kind of books, not only gastronomic one. Voila.
Absolutely, like we say in Latin, scripta manet. The text remain forever.
I'm just going to tell
Yes.
a word about Za'atar, because this book had been reimpressed several times. Za'atar is in the DNA of every Lebanese, I guess, and Za'atar had to be known all over the world. So I wrote this little book explaining what is Za'atar about. And as a kid, voilà, ça s'appelle 10 façons de le préparer, le Za'atar. C'est aux éditions de l'Épure en France. Now you cannot have it because it's under reimpression, but it will be soon available again. And this little book gave us a hand for supporting 180 families last year when the October 2019 revolution had begun and all the economic crisis in Lebanon. With these books, I was able to help a lot of family. So that's why for me, it's very important if through culture we can give comfort and we can give wellness to people. It's a way of sharing which is absolutely delightful for everyone. So that's it. All books, I mean, some of them are dedicated. And I want just to end this interview, if I can, to send a big thank to all the people who are helping me with the association, with giving sons around me for the kids in Lebanon, especially nowadays. All the doctors working with me in the association, beginning with my husband, Patrick, who is taking all the ophthalmology cases, operating for free since the first day that he began, that I began the association. It's we have been working for 23 years now, and he is always operating for free. I wanted also to thank Salim Edde, who is the president of honor of the association, and who becomes a little bit a doctor because each time I have a question mark about a case, he is a very good advisor. And I want to tell that every single small, there is not big donation or small donation. Even if you give 1 box of milk to a kid, you help us every day. And Wael, I thank you personally, because the way you presented me, you introduced me to the people tonight, you said about my positivity. I was maybe lucky enough. I was born on a Friday 13. Maybe it helps in life. So my positivity is a gift, and I was born like that. If I can give comfort to a lot of persons, for me it's a certain way of joy. And each one of us in Lebanon today can do something. And people of Lebanon are extraordinary because they are they have their bad types, but they have the sense of generosity and solidarity also. So voila, sometimes you see a very nice story. I'm going to mention a family. The first year I began with the association, they had a very sick child in the hospital with a very bad disease, and the child was 6 years old. They seek us for help. We helped, and unfortunately, the kid passed away. And a few weeks later, they came to my office. Someone else had helped them also, so they came and they gave me the amount, and they said, "This is for helping another child." Each time I tell the story, I wanted to say to people that even in the darkest day, human being is able to do something bright and to give light. And when you can give light, you never have to stop doing it. Voila. So if you have another question or other question, I'm ready.
I know you are, and there are some people probably, who want the Americans being, eating at certain time, etc. So I think what we'll do, though, as I talked to you this morning and mentioning it to Wahel and Noel as well, is we would love to have you back to talk about Lebanese cuisine specifically, probably in a few months. So that would be nice. Because of the Zatar.
Yes.
Because of the za'atar, I recommend the za'atar. It's very good for health. I love it.
It's very good. As a kid, I had to eat it every day for breakfast because my parents say it's open your mind. So
it does. I absolutely agree. I love having that for breakfast.
It's because of the sesame there is in it, because the sesame is full of vitamin B group. And it gives you power of concentration, probably, or things like that. And anyway, the taste is very good. And eating is not about duty, is about pleasure first.
Yeah. I will ask you, just because I know you love Proust, and I will just quickly ask you maybe 2 or 3 questions from the Questionnaire de Proust, and then we will end up in that. So what is your favorite virtue? If you were a virtue, what is your favorite virtue?
Generosity.
Generosity.
Definitely. It's a way of life for me. Voilà, generosity.
And if you were not who you are, who would you be?
Mary Poppins.
I love that. And finally,
I'm very happy with. I mean, it's okay. But if I can be a fairy, making the life of 1,000 people better, I will pick up this role. But
Mary Poppins. I like that. But I can confirm that you are a fairy, Noha. I can confirm that.
Now, my daughter Delphine said that she made a little film because she's very, very good in that. For the 10th anniversary of the association, she makes me the surprise of making a little movie about all we had do already. And she made me the surprise, and she surnamed me our Lebanese Mary Poppins. So voila. So if I can be Mary Poppins, it will be fine.
That would be great. Well,
medicine will go down, easily.
Yeah, exactly. We can sing all that song. The medicine will go down. Absolutely, I agree. So, well, thank you so very much, Noha, for having spoken and enchanted us with all your stories and sharing all those emotions. I mean, it was an emotion-charged event, and I'm sure that everyone loved it. I did, and it was a pleasure to have you.
It was an honor anyway. Speaking about Lebanon is always a joy, and bringing some hope to people, because hope is a duty. It is my only duty. That's what I say to people. Don't give up. don't give up. There is always a way to be out of the darkness. And Lebanon has been into so many crises and rebuilt again, as Wael said in the introduction. So thank you for picking me up for that. And thank you for your time. And thank you for advice also. I'm not very good in Zoom and technology. And
you were brilliant. You were brilliant.
With you, I got a degree today. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And please join us again for the next event.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Noha.
You are such
Bye.
a great team.
Yeah. Voilà. Au revoir tout le monde et merci encore et join us again for the next week for the Francophonie Goes On. Thank you very much.